We are very excited and grateful to have Sharifa Judith Keith with us today. During childhood, Sharifa realized that her life purpose was to work with those experiencing illness. Through the years, her education, training, and work with the sick has expanded into its present-day holistic approach. She first earned a BA in nursing, practicing as a certified registered nurse anesthetist. She earned a PhD in clinical psychology and established a private practice in Chicago as a clinical health psychologist. She attended and graduated from the University of Spiritual Healing and Sufism, and then continued her studies by earning a Master of Divinity in Spiritual Ministry and Sufi Studies, and another Master of Divinity in Spiritual Peacemaking. Sharifa currently lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and works as a holistic spiritual healer and teacher. She teaches Sufism in the Institute of Spiritual Healing and is a pole teacher with Dr. Ibrahim Jaffe in Year 4 Advanced Spiritual Healing in the University of Sufism. Sharifa also hosts spiritual retreats in her home and virtually through Zoom. She has a private practice through which she offers spiritual healing as well as spiritual counseling. Her teaching today is Difficulty and Ease. Sharifa, welcome and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Abdullah. And I appreciate you inviting me. I'm so happy to be here. I know most of these hearts that are here, and I just welcome you on this first day of the year 2023 and say Happy New Year to you. And I pray that Allah fills your lives with blessings that you've never had before. I pray that every day you can feel His presence and His love for you, and that you find your hema to bow more deeply to Him and serve Him continues to grow with each day. So Happy New Year, everyone. So thinking about what I would teach today, and it being January the 1st, and, you know, of course, in the Western world, we always make New Year's resolutions unless we've gotten too old and realize we never keep them. but I thought a great New Year resolution for all of us today to make is to work on managing our difficulties that come our way. Now, most of us love the ease. And if we had a choice, we'd choose the ease. But that's not the way Allah has set up our world. We have difficulties and ease. And most of us throughout our lives, we were socialized, maybe even decided ourselves that we just didn't like difficulties and tried to avoid them. But actually, the difficulties from Allah are our greatest blessings. So I will talk about mainly focusing on difficulties, because that's what we need to work through. And in those difficulties, we have to understand that they are part of our destiny. They're decrees of destiny from Allah. And we receive them to help us draw closer to our Lord. So if you have any questions during my sharing with you today, please write them down, and we'll wait towards the end to answer them, because sometimes I find that questions asked earlier on, I'm going to answer them as I continue talking. But if I don't answer your questions, I'm so happy to answer them towards the end. So let's begin with the Fatiha and the elongation and a dua. Allah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. La 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 la. La la I la 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 I Rasu Ibrahim Rasu Isa Rasu Isa Rasu Selah to Beloved Lord, beloved God, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Kareem. We ask you, O Allah, for guidance to the actions which pleases you, until we attain to what you desire for us. And do not allow us to witness other than you. For you are the all-hearing, the all-respondent, the all-knowing. O Allah, overlook and absolve us from the humiliations we have brought upon ourselves when we do not surrender and obey you. Teach us, O Allah, to love. Ameen. Ameen, ameen. I can't help but not think about Surah 94 when I think about difficulty and ease. Surah 94 is the opening of the heart. I'm going to just read the English translation of it. In the name of Allah, the universally merciful and the singularly compassionate. Did we not open wide your heart and lift your heavy load from you that was breaking your back? And have we not exalted your remembrance? So truly with difficulty, ease. Truly with difficulty, ease. So when the load is lifted, then rise up and go on, and to your Lord strive. So as I was saying before we started to a few folks who arrived early, that difficulty and ease is one of my favorite topics because I've had a lot of difficulty in my life. And for some reason, I thought when I started on the Sufi path, it would, I would have less and less. And I have found out that is not the truth. We will have difficulty and ease for as long as we live because it is the way that Allah has set it up. Sidi writes in Music of the Soul that everything in creation is in control by Allah. It is said creation is between two distinct fingers of Allah. Jamal, which is the beauty or ease, and Jalal, which is the majesty or difficulty. So I'm going to be talking about this mainly using the words difficulty and ease. And by the end of this teaching, our goal is not only to begin to see the value in accepting what is, what Allah brings to us, because if He brings it to us, that means He wants it for us. But we need to learn to respond in our lives in ways that reflect our acceptance of our destiny And that's what we want to do, is to get more and more bowed and surrendered to what Allah brings us, and that we accept whatever it is because we know it's in our highest, because Allah is the all-wise, the all-knowing. And we need to understand that it doesn't matter if our destiny brings us difficulty or ease. It doesn't matter. It's what Allah wants for us. And our walking on this Sufi journey is to come to know where we want, is to come to know where we are, where we'll be, where we want for ourselves, what Allah wants for us, not what we want, but we come to where we want the same thing that Allah wants for us. So we need to line up with Allah, to surrender to His light, His wisdom, and His endless love. Know that Allah keeps giving us situations and circumstances so that we return to the divine love, embed ourselves in the divine laws, and live according to our true deep being in the ups and downs of the universe, formed by the constant flow of Allah's loving breath to us all. The bitter and sweet that come to us, that is the difficulty and the ease, are Allah's generous gifts, sometimes to test us, sometimes as a fair consequence of our actions. Yet invariably, the difficulty and the ease, these generous gifts from Allah, are also a real possibility opening up in our lives, and a remedy to help us on the way to the unity and to accepting our destiny. Perceiving and accepting all difficulty and ease as the same, but there's no difference. And it takes a lot of walking and a lot of bowing and surrendering to be able to get to that point where you're not affected or triggered whatsoever with a difficulty. So as we begin this journey exploring difficulty and ease, what I want you to do is take a moment and write down a difficulty you are going through or walking through at this present moment. Just a word or a phrase. And maybe if you're in a place of ease, go back to a difficulty that's still, kind of living in your mind and through thoughts and memories, and maybe still living in your heart through lingering emotions and intermittent spiritual displeasure of that difficulty, a difficulty that you hadn't quite gotten over, that still comes up every now and then and bothers you. If you're in one with ease, not to bother your ease, but just word, a phrase. So I want you to hold this difficulty in your heart and listen from your heart as I read a little bit about the divine name Wasia, so that you can open up to all the ways Al-Wasi can help you accept the difficulties that come to you. And so we'll start out with a dhikr of Ya Allah, Ya Wasi. And then I'll stop and pause every now and then and read a little bit more to you about opening up for you a different aspect of Wasi, for you to open up to and drink in and allow it to work with how you're holding that difficulty right now, so that you can open up more. Because our Wasi is the all-embracing, the all-reaching. Our Wasi is the one who can hold everything and who makes space for everything. So begin to allow this divine name to open up even more space in your heart, soul, spirit, body, intellect, in your whole life, or whatever difficulty you're going through right now. Awasi widens that which is narrow or limited, be it on the personal, financial, or professional level. And through Awasi's open-handedness, makes space for new paths and opportunities. That's what difficulties do, to open up space for you so you can let go and work through something you're holding on to you no longer need, and to make space for new paths and opportunities. So let's begin. And I ask you to say your dhikr out loud so you can really feel it and let the vibrations of the sounds really open up your whole being. Ya la ya wasi, 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 ya la ya wasi. Let the divine quality Awasi grow in you so that it will develop the capacity to hold and embrace everything that comes to you in whatever shape or form. No matter what happens to you, through all difficulties and problems, all of us, you and the rest of us human beings, always have a choice, either to stretch or to break. We are always between neediness and capacity. Therefore, recognize the neediness so that the capacity that you carry may grow in you, and see that a situation that comes to you is there to teach you to expand inside in order to develop, to transform, and bring to life new capacities in you. Ya la ya wasi, 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 ya la ya wasi. This divine quality, Awasi, the all-embracing, is meant to give you the strength to grow beyond your doubts and to transform them into a source of strength. Because doubt is a form of energy that calls for transformation. To do so is an honor that should help each of us on the path of divine expansion, the path of unconditional love. Ya la ya wasi, 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 ya la ya wasi. Keep this light of Awasya opening your hearts so that you can embrace everything that comes to you. And keep it open as I begin to share with you and bring your attention to God's destiny for each of us that includes difficulty and ease. Surah Al-Tawab 951 reads, "Say, nothing will befall us except what Allah has destined for us. He is our protector. So in Allah let the believers put their trust." Surah Al-Baqarah 2:216. Perhaps you dislike something which is good for you and like something which is bad for you. And Allah knows and you do not know. Surah Al-Anfal 8:28. And know your wealth and your children are only a test, and that with Allah is a great reward. Al-Bayyinah 98:8 states, their reward with their Lord will be gardens of eternity, under which rivers flow, to stay there forever and ever. Allah is pleased with them, and they are pleased with him. This is only for those in awe of their Lord. And another surah, Al-Baqarah 2:156. Who, when faced with disaster, say, surely to Allah we belong, and to him we will all return. Our beloved prophet said, of the good fortune of man is his contentment with what Allah has decreed for him. And that's from the Sunnah Al-Tirmidhi 21:51. And At-Tirmidhi 23:96 says, indeed, great reward comes with greater trial. And indeed, when Allah loves a people, he subjects them to a trial. So whoever is content, then for him is pleasure. And whoever is discontent, then for him is wrath. And another sunnah from Sahih al-Bukhari 56:41 states, no misfortune or disease befalls a Muslim, no worry or grief or harm or distress, not even a thorn that pricks him. But Allah will expiate for him some of his sins because of what he's gone through. And Sidi writes in Music of the Soul, page 352, know Allah in what he wants, not in what you want. Sidi also writes on page 310 in Music of the Soul, sometimes Allah puts you in the Jamal, ease, and sometimes he puts you in the Jalal, difficulty. But this is an image. So do not stop with this image. This is what he calls, the Arabic word is kashf, K-A-S-H-F, meaning unveiling or illumination. Do not stop with this image of kashf. Do not care about the fire or the garden. The most important thing for you is to know who moves you. He is your beloved, and he knows what you are. Surrender completely, and then you will see that he puts you in the right place. There is no place. If you stop with the image, this stops you from traveling all the way to your beloved God. Say, I do not want anything but your face, my Lord. Now, I want you to go back and focus on the difficulty you wrote about earlier and write down what you think keeps you from completely accepting this difficulty. Now, you'll know that you're not accepting the difficulty if you're still wrestling with it, if you're still arguing about it with God, if you're still having problems with it. It may be that you may be asking, I don't deserve this. You're saying, I don't deserve this, or asking, why me? You may be still having feelings of anxiety or disbelief, and even complain and lose patience with the difficulty you're going through. You may be overwhelmed, feeling depressed, which may lead you to ignore obligations or commitments. Or maybe you find you're living with bitter regret in your heart. Perhaps you hold a belief that what happens in this world is all that matters. That's what you're going through right now in this world is too hard for you, and you've got to focus on it. You've got to get rid of it. You've got to figure out how to problem solve it, how to make it go away. And you may be arguing with God. You may be angry. You may be regretting what you did and wish you'd done it differently. There may be some other reasons that you've come up with. You may be judging others, seeing what difficulty they're going with to make yourself feel better. If you're not completely at ease, if you haven't completely accepted the difficulty you're going through, then maybe I have some words of wisdom that can help you from not only our beloved God, but from our beloved Sufi master from 1100 years ago, Al-Jalani. But before I read something from him, I just want to say that we all know, we can come to, because being on the Sufi path, and I know what wonderful teachers you have in Minneapolis and other beloved communities in the country, that of course, you're gonna need to do tauba, you're gonna do remembrance, you want to do some dhikr of divine names, and there are plenty of divine names that you can use that can help you work through the different aspects of difficulties. I just don't have time to talk about them today. But start out with the Awasi. But you also need to have gratitude for the times that you are in ease, and thankfulness for Allah, for all that Allah has done for you. You need to make prayers, do your salat, pray dua. You need to learn to surrender more and more. Trust Allah more and more. These are all of the acts that we know about and we've heard about over and over. But now I'm going to read you some suggestions from the Sufi master, Sheikh Abd al-Qadir al-Jalani. And this is the second sermon that he wrote in the book Pearls of the Heart, called Contentment with the Decree of Destiny. So I ask you to truly listen deeply with the ears of your heart. Because, when I first read this one, it brought tears to my eyes, and it really into my heart. Contentment with the decree of destiny. Oh, my young brother and sister, traveler on the path of the truth. Once you have leaned on the cushion of patience, girded yourself with the sword of contentment, and waited with complete conviction for the moments that give happiness and joy, you must go to sleep without any hesitation, with the understanding of a worshipful servant beneath the gutter of destiny. If you succeed in attaining to this degree, then from Allah's abundant generosity and his gracious favor. Allah exalted is he, the one who predestines everything and absolutely never errs in his predestination, will pour down upon you things you could not have asked for and could not even have desired. Oh, my brother and my sister, candidate for everlasting bliss, when a sickness befalls you and comes to pay you a visit, you must greet it with respectful hospitality of patience. Until the remedy for it is found, you must stay calm and hopeful. Then, when the cure is found, you must greet it with a hand of thankfulness. You must not forget for an instant that Allah, exalted is he, is the one who really gives the healing. Once you have climbed to the level of being in this spiritual state, you will have attained to the right way of dealing with this transitory life. Yes, indeed, oh my brother, in relation to things that are foreordained by the Lord of truth, there must be surrender to him alone. Then you must stand up together with him in the sense that your movements must be designed to earn his good pleasure. Stand up together with him. You must understand this wisdom well and persist in it by night and by day and at almost every moment. O pauper, the ones who are poor, I am speaking to you. To long for wealth that will make you conceited and forgetful of the Lord of truth, that can become the cause of your perdition. You too, O my sick brother, sick sister, you must not wish for a fruitless well-being, and you must never forget that Allah, exalted is he, is the one who provides the real well-being, for you will otherwise suffer ruination. Let us hope that most of your requests are worthy and beneficial, and that your wish may always be acceptable in this world and the hereafter. You must be content with this and let it suffice you. Do not relate to Allah like a spoiled child in the rude state of confused uncertainty. A bullying attitude towards Allah will eventually destroy you. You must not adopt a forceful attitude towards Allah and his creatures by wielding your youth, your strength, your wealth, and your property, because Allah is the one who grips you, twists you, and turns you with mighty power. As you must not forget, if you adopt such an attitude toward him, his treatment of you will be very painful and severe. Beware, beware. Do not quarrel with anyone over things that should be appreciated, because these things are made available to you at one time, but at another time they may leave your hand and go away. When that time comes, you'll be devastated by the sadness of losing your blessing. How can your quarreling and brawling and squabbling be any substitute for the feeling preferred by the Lord of truth? This is quite impossible. Where the provision of substance is, it's all in Allah's hands. Intelligent is he who finds the way to escape from quarreling. He is content with a feeling preferred by Allah, and he does not reach out toward the feeling of any other. You must wait with patience for the affliction he has sent down upon you to be removed. you must wait with patience for the difficulty he has sent down upon you to be removed. Beware of losing all hope. In the wake of every distress, there is delight. Allah is every day about some awesome business. To one set of people after another, he presents different situations. In this alteration, you must be together with him. Never abandon your patience. And always be content with his predestination. That is because you cannot know what to expect. And you may suddenly notice that Allah is bringing a brand new situation into view. In keeping with your patient endurance, with steadfast patience, he will remove the affliction from you and replace it, providing you instead with something you dearly love. And you have to hold on to that conviction that he will do that, because he will. When he does this, you will thus begin to love him, and he will begin to love you. If you already love him, the love will increase. Your love for him and his love for you. However, if you complain about the difficulty when it comes, and if you turn your face away from the Lord of truth, the affliction will weigh upon you with increasing heaviness. And the consequences will be increased. Oh, brother, oh, sister, wishing to learn the truth, you must not complain to those created by the Creator. You must address your complaint of your difficulty to the Master, who has power over everything, and not to any other. So that is the way that you need to hold all the difficulties that come in your life. And three things I want to spend the rest of the time with and bringing deeper understanding and knowledge of is the role of dua when you're in a difficulty. And then, of course, the relationship of patience with contentment. And those are two qualities you must have to walk through, to open up to whatever Allah is teaching you and transforming you into with any difficulty he brings you. So I want to read again a sermon, and this is sermon 14 in the Pearls of the Heart from Sheikh Al-Jalani, and it is called Supplication or Dua. O you who bow your neck in submission to the divine decree of destiny, you must not say, there's no need for me to offer any supplication to Allah. That is because if the thing I'm going to ask for has been allotted and set aside in eternity, regardless of whether I ask or do not ask, it will come to me in any case. Have any of you ever thought that? If it has not been allotted, that is to say, if the thing has not been set aside for me, it will not be given to me because of my asking. On the contrary, you must, Sufi Master Al-Jalani says, you must ask for the good things you wish for in this world and the hereafter, on condition that they include nothing unlawful or bad. That is because Allah, Almighty and glorious is He, has commanded us to make requests, and He has encouraged us to do so. As the Quran says, and your Lord has said, call upon me and I will answer you. And our beloved Prophet has told us, ask of Allah and be certain of the response. And our beloved Prophet has also said, ask of Allah with the palms of your hands held open to receive. Because Allah is made an obligation to himself to fill any empty hands held up to him. He cannot pass them by. Jelani continues to write. You must not say, I'm asking, but he's not giving. For this reason, I shall not ask again. You must continue to make supplication. If what you ask for is an allotment set aside for you, he will dispatch it to you, so that this will increase your faith, your certitude, and your conviction in the affirmation of oneness. You must refrain from asking of your fellow creatures. You must turn in all your situations to the Lord of truth, because he is the only one who meets and satisfies your needs. If what you ask for is not an allotment set aside for you, listen carefully to this, beloved sisters and brothers. If what you ask for is not an allotment set aside for you, Allah will reward you for your supplication and your request by granting you contentment, the wealth of the heart. Whenever you pray to Allah, whenever you make dua, whenever you ask of him, if he doesn't give you what you've asked for, because he sees it as not in your highest good, it's not in your best, your prayer is not wasted. He will instead grant you contentment, the wealth of the heart. If you are poor and if you are sick, he will offset these misfortunes for opening for you the door of his good pleasure. There's ease in these difficulties. There's secrets within your difficulties. If you have accepted them and say, yes, my Lord, I'll walk through this, he will open the door of his good pleasure for you. If you are in debt, he will apply the brake to the bad intention of your creditor, and he will impel your creditor to treat you gently and adopt an easygoing attitude. Until your situation is improved, he will make your creditor inclined to prefer this approach. Even if he does not do these things in this world, he will prepare great delights for you in the hereafter as a recompense for your requests. This is because he is the master of incomparable generosity. He is rich and compassionate. He will not let your wishes, requests, and supplications go to waste. Did you hear that? Allah will not let your wishes, your requests, and your supplications, your du'as, go to waste. He will either grant them immediately or postpone them for later in this world, or leave them to the other world, to the hereafter. In noble prophetic tradition, we are told, listen with your heart. On the day of resurrection, the believer will see in his record many good things that he had not hoped for, of which he had not been aware. He will be asked, do you recognize these things? And the believer's answer will be, no, I do not know where they came from. He will then be told, these are in compensation for the things you ask for in the lower world. The fulfillment of your wishes has been postponed until today. Yes, indeed. Whenever the believing servant asks something of Allah, because he's asking Allah for something. He remembers, he goes to Allah and asking Allah for all the things he needs in his life. He must have, the believer must have remembered Allah before all things. The believer mentions Allah's existence and his oneness over and over again. So he must have been putting each thing in its proper place, given each person its rightful due, renounce his own power and strength, and abandon such blameworthy attributes as conceit, arrogant pride, and self-importance. All of these are good and splendid deeds that the believer does, for which the recompense is stored in the presence of Allah. There will be accounting of all that you've done, and especially the requests, the prayers you asking Allah to be a part of, to help you in everything in your life. You just doing that helps you to bow deeper, love Allah more, surrender to him in ways that you're not even aware of. And they're all put in that book about you. Good things about you. O traveler on the path of reality, you must weave the network of supplication. You must bring it, weave it in all your areas of your life. Approach the door of contentment, which is done through increasing your patience to where you have patience that is steadfast patience. Patience you have all the time in your life. And turn your face away from needless words. You must never remove Allah, Almighty and glorious is He, from your heart and from your tongue. No prayer is ever wasted. Allah gathers them all and remembers them, and He answers them as He wills, or turns them into something better for you. There is a lot more I'd love to say about patience, as-sabur, and contentment, al-rida. I'm going to say a few things about them, not all that I planned. And that what I'm reading from is from Siddhi's book, The Path to Allah Most High. He has a chapter about the station of patience, and it's followed by the statement, the station of contentment. I urge you all to read that, to understand how important patience is for you to be able to be content with all that Allah sends you, and how patience grows within you to where you have it all the time. And that is not, you at first begin to earn it, but then it comes to you because Allah is, because of your works of purifying your nafs and accepting more and more, bowing more and more to Allah, to where Allah comes to be pleased with you. And in that, then He grants you the gift of patience that stays with you at all times. And that patience is the doorway to contentment. I just want to say that Surah 31:17 says, be patient in hardship. Patient comes from faith and determination. And that beginning patience I talked about comes from faith. The more you believe, the deeper your faith becomes, then that is what opens up that patience more and more. So you have to, it's a gift from Allah through the patience that endures through all things comes from your belief in Allah. Allah rewards the ones who are steadfastly patient, who have the quality of absolute patience, which arises from their quality of faith. When you have that quality of faith, that patience comes to you because faith is the light of Allah in your heart. You can't make yourself patient, be patient. It comes from your faith and bowing to Allah. And when that light of Allah from the faith lives in your heart, then patience comes from Allah, because Allah is truly the only one that has the quality of patience. So for those of you who feel you have no patience, make dua and ask Allah to increase your faith and trust in Allah so that you may obtain and arrive at that place of absolute steadfast patience. Know that the perfection of patience, when you get to the point that you're patient, you go deeper into patience, and that the bitterness of any difficulty changes to where it ends up bringing that patience you're carrying ends up being very sweet, that you love waiting because you know Allah is going to resolve your difficulty. So whatever bitterness, even that patience, you know how sometimes we get impatient with having to be patient? That can change as you deepen your faith more and more to where that bitterness, that not wanting to even be patient, can be changed to something that's sweet on your tongue, in your heart, in your whole being. And this is in accordance with taking on the character traits of Al-Haq. Allah said to Prophet Dawood, take on my character traits and know that I am the patient. The perfection of patience. The perfection of patience is in contentment. And Siddhi writes, in that station of contentment in the path to Allah Most High, guidance on the subject of contentment, al-Rida, is contained in the words, Allah is well pleased with them and they with Allah. And know that it's all about Allah being well pleased with you first, and then you'll be pleased with him. Because at the beginning, you have to, again, as I said, clean your nafs and learn to bow and accept whatever Allah brings you. And this is working with your nafs. You're doing an action from the body. So Allah puts the slave first here. He puts you first and says, you do remembrance of me and I'll do remembrance of you. But when you begin to have patience, and that comes from your faith in your heart, and the patience is in your heart, whenever an action is from your heart, Allah puts himself first. As in, first he loves them, and then they love him. So since contentment, al-Rida, is an action of the heart also, Allah puts himself first. And that's meaning that you have to, that contentment at first is earned. So it's up to you to earn that. But as soon as you move into your actions come from your heart, purely from your heart, and their actions that please Allah, then Allah puts himself first and he loves you. And then him putting himself first helps you understand when he does that, you've gone from being